Hello, my little Zehoovians. How are you guys going? It's almost the end of term for me. I'm recording this on a Friday. You'll be watching it. You'll already be on school holidays, which is really exciting. I hope you've got really fun things planned for your school holidays. Today's Friday, like I just said, so it's coming up to Shabbat tonight. And one of the things that my family does every Friday night is we do what we call the I am prouds. And it's a chance for me to say, for my husband to say, something we're proud about our kids, and often they'll say something back to us or to each other. We talk about the I am prouds, achievements we've made in the last week. And these can be really big deals, like one of our kids has learned to ride their bike, the other one's so close. Or they can be smaller things, smaller efforts that have been made, changes to behavior or things that we've learned, whatever. So I wanted you guys to think about doing some I am prouds for your family or a friend of yours or a neighbor, someone that you think, I'm really proud of this person. I'd like them to know that I'm proud of them. So all you need, this is not complicated, you need some paper and some texters or pens, whatever you like. You know me, I've got lots of colorful things here because I like this. So this is what I'm going to do. Like I said, normally we do this at home. We just say it out loud. But I'm going to write it down to my kids. I think I'm going to be very surprised to be presented with a bit of a poster. But you could spend all week thinking about this, working on one, making it really beautiful, colorful, with illustrations as well, and saying to somebody, I feel really proud of you. So I'm going to write kids up the top. Whoops-a-daisy. How about I'm going to get one and write it properly. Kids with a K. There we go. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to put both of them together on the same one. Normally, we talk about them individually, but just for this. Now, I have never been very good at my S's when I do this sort of writing, but I tried. Kids. So, what am I proud about from my kids? Like I said, one of them's learnt to ride their bike. The other one is super duper close. So I'm going to write bike riding. And I'm going to do a drawing of a bike. So it's a bit of fun. So maybe you guys have learned to ride your bike. Is there something you've done or your sibling has done or your parents have done that they've never been able to do before? Okay, and for some reason one of my bike wheels has got 6 spokes and the other one has 8. I wonder if any of you are good at physics, whether you could tell me if that's a good thing or not. But I've never been particularly good at drawing bikes, but I think you can see what that is. Bike riding. What else am I proud about for my kids? Well, my kids have always been interested in books, but one of them has gone from reading books that are mainly pictures to books that are mainly words. So from graphic novels, we're now into books that when you open them up, they are lots and lots of words, which is fantastic. That said, any book that you read that has got anything in it of any words, even if it's just pictures at the beginning, fantastic. You know me, I like reading. If you're reading, it's good. So there you go. There's my picture. So we've got the bike riding with an excellent drawing of a bike and books. With this, what else can we write? I'm going to do something a bit silly. It might sound a bit silly. We have got some new ducks. I don't know if you noticed, we've got chickens and we've got ducks, and we've got 2 new ducks. One's called Peeps, one's called Pickles. And they came to live with us, I think, 2 weeks ago. So I'm going to give the ducks their own little bit down here. And Peeps, who's the girl, has just become brave enough to eat from the little cup that I hold, from my hand. Pickles isn't brave enough yet, but I'm going to say Peeps eats, and almost rhymes, from my hand. Peeps eats from my hand. Look at that. I'm not going to try and draw a duck. I don't think you guys need to see my efforts at that. That would be terrible. But another thing for the kids is, what are we coming to the end of? Or what are you already on holidays from? Term 2. Term 2, super duper challenging, wasn't it? Not the most fun thing at all. I am proud of my kids. I am proud of you guys. I'm proud of everyone who made it through term 2. because that was a tough term. That was a weird way of learning, a lot of it. I know we're back at school now, but it was a weird way of learning. And when I think back about term 2, I think about screens. I think about lots of time on screens. Not nearly as much time playing with friends as we would want, and lots of time on screens. So here you go. Now what have I forgot to write here? What did I say these are called? These are called the I am prouds, and I forgot to write I am proud. So I'm going to write that at the top. I am proud. ... So you might want to do something like this. You put the name of the person you're proud of. I am proud, and why? With some drawings. If your handwriting isn't so great, do more drawings. If your drawings aren't so great, do more handwriting. It's all good. Now, that's the idea of being proud of what we've done and sharing our pride with others. While you're working on your list or drawing or thinking about it, I wonder if you'd like to listen to this book. It's called Judah Touro Didn't Want to Be Famous. So this is a story about Tikkun Olam. What does Tikkun Olam mean? Do you remember? It's like what we do when we normally, around about now in the term, we would be doing our own Staka Day, wouldn't we? Where we would be making some food for the people in the food van. And we would be making it and giving it away. We don't put our names on it or anything. We just make it and give it away. That's Tikkun Olam. That's healing the world. So I'm going to read Judah Touro Didn't Want to Be Famous. Thanks to PJ Library for sending this. This is the latest from PJ Library. Written by Audrey Aids. Illustrated by Vivian Mildenberger. And they're gorgeous illustrations too. Wait till you see them. So, Judah Touro Didn't Want to Be Famous. In 1801, the dawn of a new century, Judah Touro's heart pounded with the beat of adventure as he looked back at Boston Harbor. In the ship's hold were candles, soap, dried cod, which is a sort of fish, rum, and dozens of other goods that would fill the little shop he dreamed of opening when he docked in New Orleans. The winds of possibility caught the sails of his ship. Judah was on his way. But winds can be fickle friends. As they swept over the northern waters, Judah's stomach tossed like the sea. While he was ill, thieves stole all his money. Cold and alone, Judah looked to the heavens. His father and grandfather had also sailed the seas. They left their homes to practice Judaism in peace and freedom. God had taken care of them. Judah knew God had a plan for him, too. Look at him, looking very sick near that bucket, isn't he? Poor Judah. 5 months later, Judah stood by the wood railing as his ship approached New Orleans. Squinting toward land, he saw a swirl of brown, black, and white-skinned people in brightly colored clothing. Judah chuckled softly and waved back to the children along the shore. What lifted his spirits was the sight of the busy harbor. A busy harbor meant trade, and trade was a business Judah knew well. Trade meaning buying and selling goods, making a living. Eager to begin his new life, Judah gathered his belongings and made his way through the bustling streets. Soon the bell over the door at number 27 Chartres Street was ringing all day long as townspeople stopped by to meet the newcomer and see what he had for sale. Judah welcomed them all. It wasn't long before he had many friends. Judah worked hard, and his business boomed. The most successful merchant in town, Judah was happy, but he wondered. His father and grandfather had been great rabbis. Had God planned for him to be a businessman? Wasn't sure if he was satisfied. Judah had been in New Orleans for 11 years when the United States entered the War of 1812. Near the end of the war, when New Orleans was attacked by the British, General Andrew Jackson put out an urgent call for soldiers. Judah volunteered for one of the most dangerous jobs on the battlefield, bringing ammunition to soldiers. One day, while he was carrying gunpowder to the front lines, a 12-pound cannonball tore through his thigh. News of Judah's injury flew through the town. His dearest friend, Rezin Shepherd, a fellow merchant, searched for Judah through the smoke and chaos. Terrifying, huh? No one expected Judah to live through the night. But several days later, Judah awoke in a warm bed with his friend watching over him. Both men's eyes lit up with joy and relief. Judah recovered at Rezin's home for a full year before he was able to walk and return to work. While he lay in bed, he had plenty of time to think about why God had spared his life. What a good friend to let Judah live with him for so long and to take care of him for so long. Judah loved, missed a page. Before the war, Judah had focused narrowly on his business. Now he opened his eyes wide to the city and the people around him. As he walked through town, he shuddered to see his homeless neighbors huddled in alleys against the winter wind. His gut ached for the children who begged for food when they should have been in school. And he sobbed for families torn apart by diseases like yellow fever and cholera. Those are some of those sorts of diseases can be kept away if you have a nice clean space. Judah loved New Orleans. He imagined a city with modern hospitals and orphanages. He pictured safe housing, new schools, and a library. Judah looked to the heavens and smiled. He had enough money to provide all these things. So he did. Good on him. You see his imagination changing the dull, drab buildings into brightly colored and well-cared-for buildings. Judah requested only one thing in return. He asked that his donations be kept secret. No ceremonies, no speeches, no pictures in the newspaper. Judah Touro didn't want to be famous, but Judah didn't always get his wish. Many of his gifts were so large that people found out about him. One day, Judah bought a church building in the center of town and donated it to a small congregation. He believed everyone should have a place to pray. A wealthy businessman found out that Judah was the one who had donated the building and offered him twice what Judah had paid. The businessman wanted to fill the building with shops. Judah refused to sell. Here's a church right in the middle of town. When Judah had first arrived in New Orleans, there were very few Jews and no synagogues. But by 1840, growing trade and the arrival of many immigrants from Europe had brought nearly 2,000 Jews to the city he now called home. The name Judah means praise, but the only thanks he ever accepted was when the rabbi invited him to open the ark when he prayed at the synagogue on Shabbat. Judah solved many problems with his money, but there was one big problem he could not fix. From the time he was a boy, Judah had been taught that all people were equal in God's eyes. Every day, African men, women, and children were legally sold as slaves on the streets of New Orleans. Quietly, Judah began to pay off their masters. He felt honored to be able to help return enslaved people to freedom. Knowing that newly freed men had to earn a living, he taught them about trade and often gave them money to start businesses of their own. Two weeks before he died in 1854, Judah wrote a will. He left his money to hospitals and orphanages. He made sure that fire departments, public parks, libraries, and schools could remain open and running. And he donated to churches and synagogues in New Orleans, throughout the United States, and around the world. This plan made Judah happy. Over the course of his lifetime, Judah gave away more money than any other American of his time. But he was not famous. And that's just the way he wanted it. So he was incredibly generous. And had you ever heard of his name before? I know I hadn't. I'm going to read you just a little bit from the author's notes. The good deeds and major events in this story are real. Judah's thoughts, feelings, and the details of his day-to-day life are from the author's imagination. Judah Touro was a quiet and private man. He didn't leave a diary. He never gave an interview to the newspapers. At the end of his life, he asked that all his personal letters be destroyed. Judah's family had taught him that helping those in need is required of all Jews. It is possible that his father, who was a rabbi at the Sephardic synagogue in Newport, Rhode Island, before Judah was born, taught Judah about the 8 levels of giving developed by the great Jewish thinker Maimonides. By donating in secret, Judah reached the highest levels of charitable giving in Jewish tradition. So this book teaches us that we should be a bit secret perhaps about our donations, about our good deeds. And what I'm asking you to do is actually to say to other people, hey, I'm proud of you and the nice things or good things that you've done. They're not exactly the same thing. I think it's important sometimes to really reflect on what we've done, what we've achieved, what we're doing that's good. And I think it's also important when we're giving charity to be a little bit secret about it. It also gives the people receiving the charity dignity, doesn't it? Because they don't have to be like, yep, that was me getting that stuff that I needed it. It makes people maybe feel they shouldn't, but they might feel a bit embarrassed. Now, we also got another book. We have another book. I don't know if you've received it from PJ Library. Thank you again, PJ Library, called Be Kind. I want to have a look at this book. If you have this, I'd like you to have a look at it in the next week or so. And I might choose a couple of options from it, a couple of little practical exercises we could do, where we could be like Judah Touro, put some kindness out into the world. We can't get together and cook for the food van right now. We just can't do that. It's not a possibility. But I wonder if there's something else we could do, that we might get something from this book. You might have an idea and want to email it through to me or call me. Your folks have my email address and my phone number. And maybe there's something you'd like to suggest that we could do somehow like this. It'd be really cool. But until then, until we get to see each other again, hopefully soon, have to see how it goes. Victoria is having a bit of an increase in the cases again, so we'll just have to see how it goes. But until then, have a great week. I miss you guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon. Okay, bye.